Ladies and gentlemen, 85 people have lost their lives and close to 7 million have been affected due to flooding and erosion in the state of Assam. The widespread devastation should be a wake-up call for the central government to declare the Assam floods as a national calamity, because the people of the state suffer year after year after year. Here is the situation as of tonight, and then we'll debate.
The water level of Brahmaputra river is once again on the rise, and those living on the banks of the river are holding on to the remains of what's left.
The Brahmaputra, which has been always in an expansion mode, have eroded both the northern as well as southern banks in a very steady manner. As we stand here in Burhasapori area of Nagaon district, you can see how village after village has been engulfed by the erosion of Brahmaputra.
The incessant rains in the last 2 weeks has claimed over 85 lives in the state of Assam. Close to 3 million people in 26 districts have been affected.
Administration and state government have to look every aspects of the disaster, because they are working day and night. The disaster management authority is along with the other NDRF, SDRF and local people. They are working day and night, but still some of the areas are lagging behind, and the people are suffering like this in Dibrugarh at this moment.
Year after year, similar scenes are witnessed in Assam. Flooding and erosion that follow heavy rainfall has pushed the state to the brink.
We are standing on the southern bank of the river, and the small houses that you can see here on your screen are now what these people living here on the embankment call their home. With the water level again rising for the worst, the people are living with a nightmare now as what is there in their fate.
This year, the COVID pandemic has added to the woes of the state government that is fighting on a war footing with limited resources.
असम के लोगों ने जो हिम्मत दिखाई, जो साहस दिखाई, इसके लिए मैं सबको, जनता को हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। जनता ने जो मनोबल दिखाया और अभी भी इस परिस्थिति के साथ मुकाबला करने के लिए जनता हिम्मत से लड़ रहा है।
Home to 2/3 of the world's one-horned rhino population, Kaziranga Wildlife Sanctuary has been the worst hit due to the floods, along with other wildlife reserves in the state.
The process, as they are going to open this door, the hog deer which is inside will make its way back into the wild once again. Such rescue operations, such efforts continue throughout this particular time, especially during the flood season, and as many wild animals has been rescued so far in this area. You can see
Despite the widespread devastation, Assam floods has failed to receive the national attention it deserves. The central government is reluctant to give it a national calamity status, a status that would ensure that Assam gets enough aid from centre in its rehabilitation work. With more heavy showers expected in the next 2 days, Assam is bracing for the worst. Will their pleas once again fall on deaf ears? Let's debate.
Okay, we have Upamanyu Hazarika is a senior advocate in the Supreme Court, but my first question is to Rupam Goswami. Rupam Goswami is the chief spokesperson of the BJP in Assam. Please tell all of us and open the debate with Kirip Chalia. You know, 1/3 of the population of the state has been affected. Rupam, tell me, is there a gap? The demand for declaring the Assam flood as a national problem has been there ever since the Assam Accord was signed in 1985. Right? You are in power in the state and at the center. What's the problem? Why can't you do it? Can you hear me? Rupam? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Arnab. First of all, I would like to thank you for taking this debate in national level, because Assam has not been placed in national level as far as flood problem is concerned. Assam is, in this time, Assam is really facing in a difficult situations apart from dealing with COVID pandemic. Severe floods, devastating storm, lightning, landslide, outbreak of swine fever in May and June, and last but not the least, disaster caused due to the gas well fire in Tinsukia district. So besides this, the government has really fight with the situation in a very strong manner. And at this time, the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, has been standing shoulder to shoulder with us. And our Chief Minister, for the first time, our Chief Minister, Mr. Sarbananda Sonowalji, has wrote a letter to the 15th Finance Commission.
This happens every year. Mr. Goswami, I'm sorry, but this happens every year. So, can I open the debate today? Dhemaji, Lakhimpur, Darang, Nalbari, Borpeta. Tell me one part of Assam which is not affected. Your answer cannot be that you wrote a letter. Let me get Rahul on the debate, please. Rahul, would you like to get into this? You're a young man. You've seen this. I'm sure previous generations before you have seen the suffering. The demand is persistent, almost 40 years old. Would you like to say something to Mr. Goswami?
First of all, thank you for inviting me in this debate, and it is actually very, it's like a privilege to get a space on national media on an issue like this, because Assam, it doesn't usually get that space. So I want to tell to both Mr. Goswami and Mr. Kirit Chuliha, because both their parties were in power, both in center and in state. There were several times when there was BJP in center, and now BJP is in state. There was Congress in center, and Congress was in state. And there was United Front in center and United Front in state. But no party have taken any concrete step to declare this issue as a national disaster. It was a national commitment. It was a national commitment by the Prime Minister of India. There was a tripartite meeting between Government of India, Government of Assam, and All Assam Students Union on 2005, and on 5th May 2005, the Prime Minister, the Government of India has declared, the Prime Minister has declared the problem of flood and erosion of Assam as a national problem and assured to take all the actions accordingly. But it is still a declaration. No, there is no concrete step.
That was a declaration.
To consider it as a national disaster.
They said it was a declaration that the problem must be declared a national calamity. Now, I fail to understand, Kirip Chalia, when today a young student from Assam is also asking you that both Congress and BJP have been playing table tennis over this. You've been pushing it to each other. What is the problem? Is it that whenever you were in power, you didn't care, and now the BJP doesn't care enough? See, the Kerala floods were rightly declared a calamity, rightly, of a severe nature by the Home Ministry in 2018. Why is the same treatment not being given to Assam? Mr. Chalia, you want to reply?
Well, yeah. First of all, as my young student has said, that it was in fact in 2005 that for the first time the flood was declared as a national problem. And it's not that everybody was, sleeping around when floods were taking place. Floods had a massive toll in Assam almost every year, because of uncontrollable nature of Brahmaputra. It's, as you know, you live near the river. It's almost like a sea. And people here, they have been trying to do all kinds of things to see that Brahmaputra is controlled. But unfortunately, it's uncontrollable. It's not that I'm not blaming anybody. And I don't want to go into politics now at this point of time, where Assam is really in a very deep problem, not because only because of flood, but because of the earlier economic slowdown, then the COVID, then the lockdown.
No, your argument is nothing can be done. Upamanyu is on the debate as well. No, I will not accept an argument which says we can't control the Brahmaputra, nothing can be done.
That is your conclusion. That was your
statement.
Arnab, that is your sweeping conclusion as usual.
No, it wasn't.
I have no other way to, when I'm stating facts.
No,
Arnab, I'm not getting
Arnab,
into
I would like to
blame
come
game
in
and
for
I
a
don't want
second.
to
I
blame
would like to
somebody and
come in
become
for
a
a
saint.
second. I would like to come in for a second
I can't blame you and blame
he
somebody
said,
and become a saint.
no, Mr. Kiripchula is saying that he doesn't want to talk politics, but the main issue is about the lack of political will to implement the declarations. Because on 2002, a working committee of the 10th
Just because it was
5-year...
described as a
No, it is a political problem because the politicians lack the will to implement the declarations. On 2002, there was a working committee of the 10th 5-year planning who suggested the establishment of an integrated flood management commission. It didn't happen. It remained in files of a committee because you people, both BJP and Congress, lack the political will. And
okay, so you made your point. Rahul, 1 minute. Dr. Rajdeep Roy is a member of parliament of the BJP. Upamanyu also feel free to come in. The simple question being put is, why are both the parties which have and are ruling Assam unable to declare the Assam floods a national calamity? I'm showing you, there are heart-wrenching visuals. Large-scale land is submerged. 1/3 of Assam has been submerged. How can this not deserve, Rajdeep, national attention and be called a national disaster? Why should the people of Assam have to beg?
Yeah, Mr. Arnab Goswami, at the first outset, I would like to thank you for bringing Ohomor issue to national mainstream onar karone apnak moi dhonnobad jasisu. Number one, you were correct in one sense that this is probably for the first time that in the last 6 years that BJP is in power both at the center and at the state. Congress had such a luxury for over almost years of their tenure in both being at power, both at Guwahati and in Delhi. But it is important to bring to the table that it is after Narendra Modi's government, which came to power in 2014 with a thumping majority, that the water problem of Northeast, basically floods and erosion of entire Northeast, came to the mainstream agenda. I would like to thank Narendra Modi ji for making a committee called Northeast Water Management Committee under the chairmanship of Niti Aayog Vice Chairman, and including members of different states like Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, and few northeastern states. And to this effect, 100 crores has been given sanction to study the problems and then go to its logical conclusion step by step. If you
isn't it taking too long? You see, isn't it taking too long? No, why has it not been declared a national calamity yet? I thank you first of all. No, Mr. Rajdeep, Dr. Rajdeep, I thank you for thanking me. You don't have to thank me. We are only doing our job. Are we to Ohomore problem? No, it's a problem. It's not an Assamese issue alone. It's a national issue. My question is, while I appreciate your steps you're taking, Upamanyu, isn't it taking too long? Upamanyu Hajarika, isn't it taking too long?
Exactly, and why are we getting into thanking the Congress and thanking the BJP by respective spokespersons? Today, what we have is more than 70 people at the last count. I stopped reading the death count, have died. That's official. So at least multiple times that have died. Now, if we had an early warning system, now look at the way Kerala has handled, Orissa has handled cyclones. They've reduced this to a minimum. Today, we know what kind of floods come. It's a question of degree in the 2 or 3 phases that they come. So why is it that we cannot avert? Why don't we have an early warning system? Why don't we have a system set into place? Why do we have to react when the floods set in rather than getting into the act? Because, you get at least a 2-3 week window period when you know this is going to happen.
I take your point. I take your point, Upamanyu. I go back to the debate. I don't want to make it political, but I don't understand either. I don't understand the great difficulty. I have Queen Hazarika. She's a young actor and singer. She's joining me from Guwahati as well. Kaziranga is underwater. 2.5 million people have been affected. And yes, you are completely correct. If you ask me today, Kirip Chalia, Rajdeep Roy, Rupam Goswami, I'll say the national media should do a lot of soul searching today about the emphasis it has given or not to this issue. But why, when 2.5 million people have been affected, why are we even debating this, Kirip Chalia?
Say, Arnab.
No, I want you to hear the young generation of Assam. I want Queen to make her point. Queen, Rupam made his point. What do you think?
I did not hear the previous...
My simple question to you, Queen, was generations before you. Generations before you have said and put their hands up as far as this issue is concerned. It is still not been declared a national calamity. What would you like to say to all the politicians and the people watching this program?
To all the politicians across all party lines, I would want to take them... I guess you just need the intent to resolve this. I have grown up, seeing the floods. I've seen my people suffering here. And it's enough. We do not need 70 years to resolve the issue.
It's as simple as that. Rajdeep, please reply. Kirip Chalia, please reply. All of you failed them, right? This is the young generation of Assam. Yeah.
Rajiv ji, sir, if you allow me, Rajiv ji's time, Rajiv ji had made a master plan of about 32,000 crores to divert the excess water and to create bunds and other things. But this could not be implemented.
Why could it not be implemented? Sorry, no. Explain why could it not be implemented? You can't casually say.
I'll tell you.
You can't casually say.
Yeah, I'm just saying
it could not be implemented, right?
I'm just stating that if you allow me to, if it could not be implemented because the Chinese side is there. The Chinese side was there. Chinese side did not allow us to do certain amount of dams and embankments to divert the water. Number one. Number two. Unlike Kerala, Brahmaputra is almost like a sea. Brahmaputra can't be compared to the rivers in Kerala. But let me come to it. But it is not that the prime ministers were not interested. There were prime ministers like Indira Gandhi who visited the villages at the time of flood. There were prime ministers.
All of you are into complimenting your political leaders.
Was walking down among the flood situation.
I'm sorry. I'd like Rupam, Rahul.
But the BJP prime minister never went there.
Rahul.
Yes.
Yes, Rahul. You want to respond to him? He said we tried, we could not implement.
See, what I understand, the meaning of national coverage means proper attention in national policy making. Now, how can Assam flood get the proper attention in national policy making? For that, Assam floods needs to be declared a national disaster. Now, I don't understand what's your issues with China or Bhutan or Bangladesh, but I don't understand the problem in declaring the Assam floods as national disaster.
Rupam, please reply.
Because
Rupam, please reply. I got the point. 1 minute. You don't need China's permission to declare it a national disaster. Rupam.
Arnab, for the first time, erosion has been taken in the national disaster. This is for the first time the government of India has taken erosion as a national disaster. Previously, erosion, because in the erosion, almost 8,000 hectares per year erosion has been taken away, land has been taken away every year. So we have taken this government only 4 years back. And within these 4 years back, Honorable Prime Minister has already, my friend Dr. Rajdeep has said that National Water Management Authority has been from under the leadership of Vice Chairman of Niti Aayog. So already we have started our work, but it will take time. But it was the Congress who has not worked for last 70 years. So they have to reply for this. But we are working on it one by one.
What happened to the dredgers?
Lots of problems. It's not easy. Not so easy. But we are working on it.
Water level in the tributary and the ground raised, which floods into the neighboring area.
Just three, please. That was fine. Yeah, thank you.
Every year it is going to get worse. So how are we going to... I only read the same material here, but all this deforestation, all the erosion that happens, that raises the bed of the river, the extra volume of water that comes in during the monsoon spills over, and every year the situation is going to get worse.
Arnab, it is very difficult atmosphere in Assam to walk. All the time, Andolan, Dharna, lots of things are always there. So it is very hard in Assam to walk. So people should
That's
understand.
no reason. Don't blame the people of Assam. Queen. He says in Assam you can't walk that. Completely reject that. Completely reject that.
With all due respect, sir, Flood is a known problem in Assam. We have been having it for decades now. Our grandmothers and grandparents have seen it. We need to be prepared. We need to be prepared. We know it's a known problem, and if it's a known problem, you should have your blueprints ready on how to resolve it, how to tackle it. Please go faster, please.
I propose the following, if I can, please. If the Republic can play a small role in this. Rupam and Queen, you represent the young generation of Assam, and Rupam is anyway very active, is an activist student. I would want you to start, and we will work with you in this, we'll start a massive signature campaign. And we, along with the young people of Assam, will petition the government of India to declare the Assam floods immediately as a national calamity. I think we just have to raise our voice and gain a greater share of voice and keep putting the pressure on everyone, including the politicians. I thank you so much for joining me today. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all the time I've got this evening, and I'll see you tomorrow sharp at 9. Good night and goodbye.